Yeah.
You're next to Joe Rock, everybody knows Joe Rock.
Alright, start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll take roll calls, please.
Commissioner Case.
Here.
Commissioner Garvelia. Commissioner Story.
Present.
Commissioner Cochran.
Yes, present.
Commissioner Smith.
Present. Reading approval of the minutes.
I had a couple of questions and I found them late at night, so, please forgive me, Brooke. On the second page, it looks like we just had a couple of paragraphs from the last one, so we just need to, like, I think we just need to pull up the Sherman City Council meetings beginning at the first meeting of January that has in the tax levy piece,
Okay.
and then, I think the ordinance number for, on the back page of page 2, with the vacating the alley, we want the ordinance number 2325 on that. So with those two small changes not getting marked, I'd like to approve those minutes.
Commissioner Case.
Yes.
Commissioner Garvelia.
Yes.
Commissioner Story.
Yes.
Commissioner Cochran.
Yes.
Yes. Public properties report.
The only thing that I really have to report on, I've been getting, contacting back and forth, Ewing Water Department in regard to the leak that we have at Twin Oaks. Now Twin Oaks is shut down, so, and I needed to talk to a woman named Penny, and I had talked to her, and she's told me she will send reports, but I've yet to receive the reports. But what's sad is that she can only generate the reports in 40 days, so by the time I get the reports, it's probably not going to reveal any information. So, and with the water shut down, I'm hoping that when we get back in that building, we can get in early in March and try to find where this leak is taking place.
Streets public improvements.
I don't believe I got anything today, no purchase orders, and, I don't believe I got anything on the agenda.
Is there? Good. Public health and safety. We're moving quicker than I expected, so sorry.
That's good. No, department updates today. Discussion and approval of installation of LED lighting at the police station, for $2,482. I'll make a motion to have that put in.
Prior, just, we need to make sure we have some sort of proof of insurance, an insurance declaration page, something from Mr. Irwin.
Is he doing it through Ace or on his own?
He's doing it on his own.
And he doesn't have any employees, so prevailing
No.
wage, nothing's an
No.
issue. Okay.
He's doing it on
We
his
just simply need proof of insurance
Okay,
for that job. That's what we need.
okay.
Okay, thanks, guys. So subject to that, your promotion.
Commissioner Case.
Yes.
Commissioner Garvelia.
Yes.
Commissioner Story.
Yes.
Commissioner Cochran.
Yes.
Mayor Messerschmidt.
Yes.
Discussion and approval of dispatch agreement. It's gone up to 11.5 a month. We're running out of time. So probably need to make the motion to go ahead and get that done. Tom, help me, what contracts?
You're looking at a couple, 2 years. The one issue we had last week, or last meeting, if you guys remember, was it was kind of, it was almost like odd for Ben, and maybe Chief can comment on this. I'm guessing it's because of the volume, but everybody's only gonna get bumped like 6%, but except Ben. So when we're looking, $1,500 a month did not sound like 6%, it sounded 15% or 3%. So I'm assuming, is it fair for this council to understand that that reason is just the sheer volume, Chris?
Well, I mean, we handle probably half the calls, but collectively, the rest of the.
So that
Call volume is
Yeah,
going up.
so the call volume for us is enormous compared to the other
Yeah.
entities. So
And
it makes
it's
sense.
still the best value. Like, if we try to go back somewhere else, we're gonna drop another 30 or
Yeah.
40, and then
Yeah.
within a couple of years, we'll probably talk about going consolidation,
Yeah.
so this is still.
Is your recommendation to stay, Chief?
Yeah.
Okay. You can get
Yeah,
a motion.
I'll make a motion to, pay the 11.5.
And you'll get get the
to
contract.
Central
language for us to
Dispatch
sign.
for our dispatch.
Second.
Commissioner Gaines?
Yes.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yes.
Commissioner Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Cochran?
Yes.
Mayor Massersohn?
Yes.
And I don't have a list of removal or additions to the POC list.
A motion to table that then.
Table that, yes.
Second.
Commissioner Gaines?
Yes.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yes.
Commissioner Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Cochran?
Yes.
Mayor Massersohn?
And
Yes.
that's all I have.
Council Finance?
Just a second.
So we're moving quicker than I was ready for.
Right.
Same, exact same thing.
One payroll dated for today, everybody got paid. Totaling $111,559.69. It is higher than it would normally be. We have, POC firefighters on there, to the end of the year. So that's a breakdown of $75,365.63 to general, $27,397.90 to water and sewer, and $8,796.97 to the POC firefighters. So I make a motion to approve that as presented.
Second.
Commissioner Gaines?
Yes.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yes.
Commissioner Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Cochran?
Yes.
Mayor Massersohn?
Yes.
A couple of POs, there was a PO in our packet, I don't know if it was supposed to be under Commissioner Cochran's report with the,
I had the same thing. Yeah.
cabinet for the water department, but we'll go ahead and do that now.
Yep, thank you.
The purchase order for $391.43 to Heartland Office Supply for a filing cabinet for the water office. Make a motion to approve that.
I make the motion.
I'll second.
Second it. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
whatever.
Commissioner Gaines?
Yes.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yes.
Commissioner Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Cochran?
Yes.
Mayor Massersohn?
Yes.
Next purchase order you've got in there is to Benton Save-A-Lot for $3,225.00 for end of the year gift cards to our full-time employees. Completely forgot about it last time. Didn't even think about it, and here we are, so.
Well, I think it's dirty how you done it. We should have brought that to a vote. Yeah, but you done passed them out, Chris.
Don, I'll reimburse them myself.
Okay, that's fine.
If it fails, I'll reimburse them myself.
You should have brought this up to the council to vote for it
That's
before
why-
you pass it.
that's
I
why
didn't
it's
know
here.
nothing about it till I seen it on his
That's
desk.
why it's here.
That's bull.
That's why it's here, Don,
I tried to call you last Friday. You know you seen where I called to ask you about
and
it.
I've been busy.
Yeah, yeah. Dog and pony show, bud. Dog and pony show. Don't you ever say that about this council again, cause you just done it. You look at me the way you wanna do it. That's not right. We should have voted on that.
That's why, vote no on it. Two
No, I'm
others,
glad they got it.
two others can vote no on it. And
I think it's
I'll go pay out of
bull.
pocket with it.
I
Hey,
think it's bull.
I took responsibility for it and said that I dropped the
Yeah.
ball. Didn't even think about it.
You're a
Oversight.
commissioner, you ought to think about it, what?
Oversights can happen, and I
Yeah.
think any one of us could have
Yeah.
gone to him and said,
Okay.
hey, what about the
I'm done.
bonuses and.
I think it's terrible what you did. Passed them out before you put the purchase order in.
Wanted to make sure they got them.
If we would have done it, you could have done it, give it to them, but you make it a vote.
We are,
There's a
So I
motion on
know
the
that.
table, Don.
I just wanna let you know that's dirty.
Fabulous. Buckle up for 3.5 years.
Oh, I ain't worried about that.
Is there a second?
yes, I second it,
Commissioner Gaines?
Yes.
Commissioner Garvelia?
yes.
Commissioner
No.
Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Cochran? Mayor Massersohn?
Yes.
Item 7C. This kind of got brought up to us, probably 5 or 6 weeks ago, Brooke, maybe a little bit sooner than that. An employee reached out about potential membership for the group. So I contacted a sales rep for Air Evac Life Team here in Southern Illinois. We can essentially do a group rate if we want. What we'll do is, this is not gonna be something that the city is going to provide or pay for the employees, but essentially be part of the group plan. So any of our employees, be it full-time employees, the POC guys, the commissioners, can join Air Evac. We'll essentially put a cutoff date, probably call it the end of January. What Lisa would like to do is, if we move forward with this, the anybody who wants to join will just cut a check to the city, and then the city will cut a
Larger check.
larger check, cause that's what the discount, that's how we get the group rate.
Do we know what the discount is?
Yeah,
that's what I was
so,
looking for.
yeah, it's
Listed in there.
$75 a year.
Yeah.
If you're a group of 3 or more, you get
Yes.
$75.
Yes, and
I'd say there's 3 sitting on the
I've been a member,
You're
I've been a member of Evervac for many years. My
Yes.
son worked for him for 6 years, he flew velos for him. I just paid it not too long ago. I mean, anything we can save, I think it's a great idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you've
Yes.
ever had to be
Yes.
helicoptered out anywhere, it's like, oh my God.
right,
I
and
mean, and you never know.
no, and on top of it, it's not just like in the southern Illinois area. So like AirVac is kind of our
Yeah.
local network, but it's a nationwide network.
Right.
So
If they gotta ship you off to St. Louis or Chicago or
it-
Nashville.
if I'm on vacation or
Oh, so if you fall off the
conference-
mountain in Hawaii.
Yes.
yes, same thing. So, and not everybody,
I didn't realize
not
that.
every single state, every single area is in the membership, but it's wider than just our area. So, and, you know, we've got the packets printed up. There are, I mean, I think we've got 3 that have already decided that. they
Our
would-
closest unit is up in Mount Vernon Airport,
Yes.
go to Mount Vernon Airport, you know, and there's a place right there. My boy worked out in Denopolis, Alabama. He worked 6 years, and it was 7 days on, 7 days off, and he flew. So he did the Navy, and then he went to work for him out, because he loved to fly. And it's great, if you ever use it, one time, oh my God.
Absolutely, it's a huge money saver. And
$20,000-$30,000.
For, for as much as I'm on the road, I'm like, that's actually something that.
But
we
I
can
would,
look
I would
at
get
as well.
in on the group rate, obviously.
No one will miss
if you do it.
$75
You're a
for the
lifetime
benefit.
member.
I don't know about a lifetime member, but I've been doing it for,
I paid $500 the first
Oh,
Ren
really?
Lake, the first Ren Lake parade they had. They
Really?
had it set up. Yeah.
Oh, that's-
So your grandfather did it one time?
One time.
Lifetime?
I always just do it every year, I pay it, you know. But if
We
you
can't
ever
do
get
lifetime,
there,
the most they will offer us is
When
10
they flew me to
years.
Springfield,
Yeah, 10 years at a
I
time.
didn't pay nothing.
Yep.
No bill.
Was that about carrying me out?
So, I make a motion
Sorry.
that we extend, to our employees, a self-purchase after
second it.
tax
Does this include
dollars.
elected officials?
Yes,
Okay.
anybody who draws a payroll check from the city
I would
is
get in
eligible
it.
for this.
That we might do.
And it does include the paid on call.
The way the sales rep
A second.
talked to me, it would include our, because they draw a payroll check from us. Not frequently, but they draw a payroll check from us, and they should be eligible for it. So,
You second that, Coy?
Yes, I did, I'm sorry, I've seconded it.
yes.
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 Absolutely.
I'm glad you're looking into that, Chris.
And then item D, just a quick update. We talked about it at the last meeting as far as securing financing or essentially bridge funding for our ACEI war project for Peoples. I talked to Dave Oxford Tuesday. He had gotten all the information he needed from us. He had contacted PSC just for some additional information. I authorized him to be able to talk to Robbie and PSC about any additional information he might need. So, he's hoping that it was gonna get to underwriting at the end of this week. So we should be ready to rock and roll by the time the next council meeting runs around. Hopefully we can get that first pay order paid.
For wigs.
It is, yes. You may just get a lump sum by the time we get done with it.
Well, and I've said before, you and I talked about this, I told him, I said, there's times that we're like begging them for bills, like, hey, we wanna pay you, like, send us an
I
invoice.
seen Steve Lampley the other night, I said, we ever get you paid? He said, I think so. For the ground storage tank.
It tells you
we
how
started
busy they are,
2.5
they have
years
need the
ago.
money.
Yeah, those guys understand.
We wanna get it to
Those
them.
do.
Well, like I said, that was one of those things that got caught in the shuffle
Well,
And
back in
transition.
the spring.
it's probably not the proper time for that, but we, you know, all the lines are in out there. We got the bore done on the interstate. We didn't hit rock, oh my God. I mean, and it's pretty well in. We haven't got it hooked up yet, all the samples, but we're doing good. The great weather's helped us on, as you know, a lot of projects.
And I assume
It's
when
good.
we get a final number and we get ready to put
Yeah.
shovels in the ground for the project on the east side of town, we'll be out ahead of it.
Yeah.
We won't
Yeah.
have to kind of come,
Yeah.
Can we piggyback with that account to use on the east?
I don't know, because this account's essentially got a guarantee with it, with the
The one
grant.
up, the CDAP grant, you gotta have a separate account for
That's
that.
what I was, I didn't know if you could reuse the same account, or you have to create another new one.
Probably new one. Cause they're very stickler about
Well, we
on the
can start that
grants.
process
Because
now.
when they get ready to audit at the end, they're gonna see it all. So
Right.
it's gotta be one
Cause we'll open,
account.
we'll open a checking account for this one to cut
Yeah.
the checks out of it,
Yeah.
that way the audit's nice and
Clean.
it'll be nice and clean and won't throw them any
We'll
flags.
get a little closer, Tammy Campbell, she'll be with us on all that.
And Dave's been through this enough, so I mean,
Yeah.
having PSC
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Peoples or whomever we
Yeah.
deal with will be
Yeah.
really versed
Yeah.
in how we,
Yeah.
How to manage it,
how we manage it
Yeah.
and keep us
Good deal.
square, so that's
good deal,
all I've got.
awesome, thank you. City attorney updates.
Mayor, the only thing I would have is H and I under you.
I think I have a couple of things, okay. Under updates, here we are, a week before Christmas. Just wanna let the council know that, you know, we've got plenty of stuff still going on in and around the city, so just be aware. Brought to our attention that, see there, that the Elks' if you ever have people reach out to you, the Elks is providing a meal on Christmas Day from 11 to 2, and it's free to the public, and then I believe the Legion is doing the same thing. I don't know what time theirs is, but it's roughly about the same
Yeah,
time.
the Legion reported that at our chamber meeting yesterday. The guy was there, they're gonna have one too, so this is something we're gonna do every year, but since our first year, it's short notice. And it's not all about homeless people, it's about people that have nowhere to go, come out and eat.
Yeah, loneliness.
We're
Yeah.
people's, we've got a couple, Ken and Rick McDowell is furnishing all the food. They're just using our venue to have it, open the doors, come on out, eat with us, have a good time, enjoy yourself. A lot of people don't have nowhere to go, you know.
Yeah, so just so the council knows, and if people ask in the community, we can share that information. If you see it on social media, go ahead and reshare it. 'Cause I don't know that we've had that strong of a presence before, so that says something. And I really do believe our community is starting to rally around itself,
No doubt.
represents itself, supporting itself. The outpouring on the warming center has been phenomenal, and they still continue to be in need. So I mean, there's some really good things happening at the core level of who we are as Benton, so I appreciate that. No purchase orders. I do have yes, yeah, I didn't forget about that. The local churches here in Benton have put together a Christmas candlelight, caroling, hot cocoa, Christmas story experience tomorrow night from 4 to 6 at Capitol Park. And like, again, that's another one where they just came up and said, what would it look like? And they started this conversation way back in November. So, again, more opportunities just for our community to come together. So that's some pretty neat stuff. So, and if you haven't been to a Rangers basketball game, you need to get there. They're 10-0 and they're on fire. So,
Play tonight.
They play
Yeah,
tonight.
freshmen starting out at 4.
4, 5:15, and 6:30, so you can get your entire year's worth of basketball in one night. So there's just a lot of really good things going on around
They're
town.
very fun to watch, they
Yep,
really are.
Yep, so it's good stuff. No purchase orders, I do have a number of things under our economic development director, so I'm gonna hand it to Mr. Bryan and lead us in some conversations.
Yeah. Item C there, this is something that I've actually been personally wanting to kind of adopt something. And then I received a phone call regarding shipping containers. And so I think it is the point now where we wanna get ahead of what's going on there. As you know, sometimes people have been converting shipping containers into houses and things like that. This gentleman wanted to put a shipping container in his yard and just use it for like a storage shed, essentially. And I told him, there's really nothing I can do to stop you from doing that right now.
But I'm working on it.
But I'm gonna work on, not allowing that.
At least you're honest.
And luckily he said, well, this would probably be the spring by the time I get around to doing it. So I said, well, check with me before you do
Should've said
it,
that.
because I'm gonna try to put an ordinance to not allow you to do that. And so,
You told him that?
I told him that.
Okay.
But I told him, if you do it today, I can't stop you.
Yeah.
On the phone.
And so I looked at our zoning ordinance, and in order to enact something like that, we need to have a motion today to allow me to take this to zoning and planning and come back with an ordinance that would prohibit the use. I've actually looked at Mount Vernon's ordinance. They have a very, very good, clear ordinance that prohibits shipping container use as garages, as outbuildings, as sheds, as homes, and all those kind of things. And so, I personally, this is my opinion, would like to not see shipping containers in everyone's yards.
What about trailers, truck trailers? There's one off of Joplin. It's pulled
I
in
have
there.
to, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'd have to look at the ordinance to see
Well,
if that's.
that would be the same thing, wouldn't it?
Well, a shipping container is is a
They're using
specific,
this for storage.
they are, and we may have to address that in a separate issue. It may
not
already be
the
an
same.
ordinance violation,
But
but
that's
that is
mobile,
different.
Don, it's got wheels on it, it's still mobile. I think if they took those wheels off and set it on the ground,
Okay,
that's a
yeah.
different scenario.
I know it's been there for quite a
And
while.
this is one that ever evolving, like right now, if you do the shipping containers, there's gonna be something new a year from now. But I think to get the approval and the blessing of it, you're just asking for the blessing.
Yeah, I'm asking for the blessing to move forward with zoning and planning so we can come up with an ordinance at some point, you know.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility of combining those transport trailers with that? Because that's gonna be the next step.
Yeah, I think we
People
probably do it
using-
separately.
using
and
that.
Yeah, and I need to look into the nuisance violations a little more, because it may already be a violation, and we can
An
enforce.
abandoned vehicle or abandoned.
Abandoned vehicle.
We may be okay with that,
It is a vehicle, so it may already be a violation on the books,
but you need a motion a second.
but I need a motion.
I'll
I
make
make the motion.
I'll second.
You know, just to prove the point here, I think I showed something.
Oh, yes.
Some of these shipping container homes that people are making nowadays they cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they look like mansions. And the one on top is what I'm talking about. That's really cool, you know what I mean? It's a really cool shipping container home.
Yeah.
But if you allow this, you have to allow this.
Exactly.
Let me ask a question. We got shipping containers we use at the fire department for our training.
Yeah, I
Is
know.
that gonna involve?
I wonder.
They're already there.
They're already there,
Yeah,
so
they're
you'd be
there.
grandfathered in.
Grandfathered in.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that?
Nobody's living in
That we know.
the, Frank.
Yes.
Hey, he's gonna tear it up.
Yes,
Yes.
first over here, please, Bo, come on, let's move on.
It's time for more medicine.
Okay, so,
Item D.
item D there, as you guys know, we did the facade grant, I think maybe a number of times now, once with me in 2022, we did 2 facade programs. It's been kind of a smashing success story, honestly, the facade program. And so I would like to, renew that program for the downtown TIF area for calendar year 2024. In your packet provided there, I've, provided you with the application and agreement, the terms. Not much has changed from the original TIF, program that was enacted in 2020. The only thing that I really changed was I've opened up the, or not the requirements, but the allowable, types of projects to include new installation of things like canopy repair, awnings, signs, and exterior lighting.
Things they already had though, they're just gonna get rid of.
No,
Potentially additions.
no, that was how it was originally set up. So let's say you had a sign on the side of your building, on your facade, that was cracked. The old plan would allow you to get a new face. That's it. But what I've been seeing from, a lot of the people who have been requesting, applications and wanting to get involved in the project is that maybe they didn't have a sign on the side of their building and they wanted one. And the way the terms were in the old contract, I say, you can't do that, you can really only replace. Or they wanted a canopy, but they didn't have one, I'd say, no, you can't have that. If you had one that was ripped, you could replace the fabric, but you can't put that there.
So yours is saying replacement or.
Or new installation of those types of things, and I think that opens up the program for more people to take advantage of it. And ultimately, the goal here is to, enhance the city's facades, in our downtown area.
And what's been really needed to Brian hasn't said this, and he probably won't, to the success of the program, the Illinois Municipal League asked him to write an article that was featured in the IML about the success of this program, including before and after photos of all of our downtowns.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I've got it in my office.
Yeah, it's
Very nice.
It's a neat badge of honor, but it definitely shows that this works. And you're just looking to kind of expand a little bit to allow more things.
Allow more things,
to,
yeah.
to make that drive-by even better than it is now.
Yeah, I mean, we're not obviously going to allow people to fix their roofs and, do some of these structural things on the inside of their building, but just open it up a little bit more, so it's not so restricted.
It will stay true facade.
True facade,
Obviously driving by.
that's correct.
A good example is where David Kimball's office is on
Oh, that-
Warren
Yeah, it's a
Street.
wonderful example.
Beautiful, how they fixed that.
I mean,
Jim
Jim
Ford, I
Ford's
think he took
building.
advantage of
Yeah.
that after the
Yeah,
fire.
now his was kind of forced, but yeah,
Right,
buddy
right.
had to do it.
Right,
Yeah, I could think of a few other lawyers' offices who could burn it.
Brian, the districting's different this time around from last year, correct?
Yeah,
A
well,
little bit.
what we did before was we first enacted this program for the downtown TIF only.
Okay.
And then I believe it was Commissioner Messersmith at the time said, why don't we open that project up for everybody in the city? And so we did a separate facade
Okay.
program from a separate fund,
See, this uses
Okay.
TIF money, I actually had the council agree to use city money.
city
Gotcha,
money.
gotcha.
And
okay.
so I don't remember who asked, but honestly, that one was not really,
Only 2 people
Yeah.
ever used the non-TIF.
yeah, I was gonna say, the majority were downtown, so that's
They
what
were all
really neat.
downtown.
The non-downtown is not neat.
Right.
So wasn't this money, the $40,000 budget I seen in here that wasn't, it come out of another fund for those two you're talking about?
That's TIF, right?
Yes, that came out of some
This is
other
TIF,
other
yeah.
fund, city
The other
fund.
was just budgeted dollars.
Yeah, cause I
Yes.
noticed you had a budget of $40,000, so,
Brian, what happens if I own a business, I do the facade grant, and then I unload it and I sell it? Really?
There are
Is
no
that-
provisions
there's
for
no
that in
provisions for
here.
that?
And that was something that had been brought to my attention from prior projects, like what happens if they sell the building. There's really some loopholes that are caused there because I mean, that's a good point. What you're saying is basically that the owner of the building is getting a boost to the price of their property, and then they're unloading it, and then they're basically taking half the money. The issue with that is that this agreement allows for the lessee of a building to apply for the grant and be approved with the permission of the owner of the building. And so if you add that provision to pay back the money if the building sells, then I could be the lessee of a building, have my own little pet store downtown, and then if the owner of the building sells the property out from under me to someone, then I would have to, by agreement, pay that money back. And I don't see that as being, fair, so to speak. And honestly, the worst thing would be not that the building sells out from under me, that I get the facade grant and then I go belly up. So that would actually be worse than just a landlord
But
selling the
bottom
building.
line, it's still serving the purpose that it's. the
Absolutely,
intended
the
purpose
goal of the
dressing
program.
up
yeah,
the city.
exactly, yeah.
So. I
Well,
don't
we've not
see
had
that
any
that's an
instances
issue.
of that. It was just, cause I know with some rehabilitation grants that there's typically.
Yes, there's a payback clause if
Yeah,
you
payout,
sell the.
Yeah,
sell the
so I
property.
didn't know if that was, if we had something, even if we had one out of however many years we've done it.
Yeah.
I'd really hate to see one person spoil it for everybody. I don't wanna
And-
punish
and I-
anybody for one person's actions.
And I think if it were only open for building owners, I think that might be something for the council to explore doing, but with the lessees being able to do it, I think it's.
And so many of our properties.
So
are
many
from
of our
lessees.
properties are for lessees, and it would be unfair to make them pay it back because the building sold.
Like 628 Artisans moving in,
Right.
it says, right now it says guns and archery.
Right.
Which people are hoping they keep both, but the reality is right now they're going, they're stuck, but.
Artesian guns.
Exactly, so they need to swap that sign, they would be able to apply for this.
They would, yes, they could get a nice lit sign, or they could get a sign where they put exterior lighting on it
New
instead of just
windows.
new windows, tuck pointing on masonry work, new paints.
So the goal of the program is to make our drive-by, our curb appeal improve,
Absolutely.
And it's helped tremendously.
and that'll carry on even
Yeah.
beyond
Yeah.
the ownership.
One by one, it's helped tremendously.
And this will give them more opportunities.
Yeah, that's what it's all
to do
about.
so.
I make a motion, we approve 9B, the facade improvement grant application for
Second.
next year.
Commissioner Case.
Yes.
Commissioner Garvelia.
Yes.
Commissioner Story. Commissioner Hopper.
Yes.
Mayor Messersohn.
Yes. Brian,
Okay.
on, my friend?
And so EF and G are part of the same issue. I don't know if you'll remember, I believe it was maybe 2 or 3 meetings ago, you authorized me to look into the billboard ordinances that we have and take that to the zoning and planning commission, and we had that meeting back in early December. And so we've cleaned up, I believe, some of the stuff that we've seen as far as what billboards are. As you may or may not remember, our zoning code has a space where is supposed to define what a billboard is, but it says see off-site sign, sign off-site, and then when you go look for sign off-site, it's not there. And so we don't really define what the definition of a billboard is. And so my first ordinance that I provided for you is an ordinance to define what an off-site sign is. That way anyone looking in our ordinances can see exactly what that looks like. And I believe I might have provided what that definition is on that, where it says, be it therefore ordained. And I pulled this from the city of Aaron's code of ordinances, and that's how they have defined their billboards. So that's a pretty standard change that I feel we should make, is to define that. That way we can show prospective billboard sign owners that, this is what it's gonna look like. So I would
So you just
entertain a
to
motion,
approve that.
yeah, to,
Is there a dimension regulation?
there are, yeah, and that's the next two things. that are-
Okay, you get there. Okay.
Yeah,
You're-
I'm building.
You're getting there, okay, I'll
Lay the groundwork.
let you finish.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 23, is it 26 for?
And this is just the motion to draft an ordinance.
No, this is the
This is
actual ordinance, yeah.
Okay,
Ordinance this here,
I'm not looking at my thing. I didn't have right now, Russ, what did you
I
say?
think it's 26.
26?
Yes.
I'll
Yeah.
second that, whatever.
Because the minutes you had modified the one to 25, it was less.
Okay, and so,
Hold on, let's get this vote.
oh, I'm sorry. Got ahead of myself.
You seconded it.
I did.
Commissioner Case?
Yes.
Commissioner Gervail?
Yes.
Commissioner Shea?
Yes, I said it.
Yes, I'm good, that's good.
Mayor Moser said
Yes.
Now,
Now we're ready.
Now we move on.
I'm building. And then so, as Coy mentioned, we have a lot of different ordinances, as far as the size of buildings, or of signs, all throughout the city, and that's not just, what we consider off-site signs, but those are, signs for your particular business, on-site signs. And that table is provided. We didn't wanna go in as the zoning and planning commission and just completely rewrite the ordinance. What we wanted to do was kind of clean up what was already there. And what we noticed is that it's okay to have what we call an off-site sign, which is a billboard, as what they call a flush wall sign, and that's anywhere in the city. And where we're seeing them is downtown in the B1 area, where, like, for instance, where, county seat, Antiques on the side, they have all those billboards. The billboard we were just talking about, the lit one on the LED one on the annex building is also in B1. So that's actually where we're actually seeing those, and if you look at the charts for the B1 zoning district, the flush wall only allows for a maximum square footage of 12 square feet, and those signs are all 32 square feet. And so what we wanted to do was just amend that ordinance to put those in basically compliance, and then moving forward, when they wanna go put another sign up there, we can enforce that it's 32 feet
nothing larger than
and nothing larger than 32 feet.
The reason I bring it up is when I was on zoning board, we had an issue out on Bailey Lane with the guy come in and put the sign up, and that was a mess.
He never should have been able to put
Never
that
should have been
up
able to put it up, we had nothing, I mean,
We
he,
should take a chainsaw and help it down.
oh my God, that was a mess.
It's an off-site sign. Freestanding off-site signs are not allowed in the B6 zoning district. So he shouldn't have been able to
Shouldn't
do
even have put
that.
up period.
But the ones that are on walls, on flush walls on the outside of these businesses, those are okay.
Yeah, like the one on West Main there on the old county annex building.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're just gonna limit the size, we're creating a new size and moving forward.
a larger size to put the ones that are already in compliance,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
move forward to be able to
I
enforce
think
it.
that's great. Putting something in writing, could try to control it.
And he really wasn't allowed, he just.
No,
one
he
day-
just did
One
it.
day, there was no sign, the next one, he.
He
got
was
that
such,
right
and
there.
he was such a jerk. Come to our
I
meeting.
believe David took him to court or something too.
Yeah, it's awful, it's awful.
I make motion to approve ordinance 23-27.
I'll second.
Second that.
Commissioner Case?
Yes.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yes.
Commissioner Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Cochran?
Yes.
Commissioner Sister?
Yes.
And then the last one here is just, it's sort of the same thing, but in reverse. In the B6 zoning district, for flush walls, it allows for a maximum of 100 square feet. What we're really seeing is that people are putting together 2 plywood, 8x4s together and putting a sign over it. And those are really 64 square feet, and 100 square feet is very large for a billboard on the side of a building. And so it was of the zoning and planning commission's, recommendation to lower that one from 100 square feet to 64 feet in the B6 zoning district. And
Make a
that-
motion to approve that, for sure.
I second it.
Commissioner Case?
Yes.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yes.
Commissioner Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Cochran?
And that's 28.
You've been
Yes.
busy, you guys been busy.
Very busy.
Yeah.
Round out the year. Okay. That's it for Mr. Cafeteria there. Okay, the next two have to do with residential commercial aggregate. We've been in conversation with both Simek and AGE. Both of them are home field, both of them have some new contracts. I'm still learning, so I'm gonna have Mr. Malkovich help guide some of this conversation with history.
Mayor, on H, that's the residential contract. That contract expires at the end of June, so July of '24. Those rates are down this winter with the anticipation of buying futures with this electricity. So we have an opportunity to get a 1-year renewal, basically at the same rate. We're paying 8.104 cents with home field. The new rate would be 8.100, so it's like 1/100 of a penny. It's lower actually, so we would need a motion to approve, from July of '24 through June of '25, moving forward with Simek on our residential electric aggregation, with the home field, contract.
I got a question. I dropped out of home field.
Always have that right to do.
Yeah, I dropped out of home field when I'm Amory.
Yep.
So,
Still, nothing changes there. This is
Nothing
just allow the
changes.
mayor to
Okay.
sign, because commodities
Okay.
fluctuate. We have to do
Sure.
this has to be done, and you'll see it has to be done today,
Sure.
actually by 2 o'clock today.
And those who drop out, I think you have the ability, when the contract renews, to essentially like reallocate,
Yeah.
and go back in, or
You do.
opt out.
You have to opt out a second time,
This
yeah.
is just
Yeah.
the city choosing this as ours.
As our
Starting in
actual
July.
supply.
This is basically for the city only.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
say,
I second it.
Commissioner Case?
Yes.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yes.
Commissioner Story? Commissioner Cochran?
Yes.
Commissioner Sister?
Yes.
Okay, the last one is, accepting bids for our commercial electric aggregation for the city. That's like our street lights, that's our buildings that we own, City Hall, the water service. And because of the, agreement to go solar, that's really gonna help out at the new wastewater treatment plant, these contracts have to expire in April, we were advised. So we had a nice long meeting, Brian and the mayor and I, and got a lot of good information. So we're looking at a couple of different, but they gave us 3, but the reality is there's a 27-month for 6.251 cents, and there's a 39-month for 6.420 cents. So it comes down to, the guy said, it's about $2,000 a year is what you're gonna look at spending if you wanna lock the last year in. So if you wanna lock in a 39-month, it's gonna cost you that first 27 months about $2,000 a year, so about $4,000 more to get that 3rd year. If you don't want to, we can do the 27-month and then roll the dice, and maybe it'd be lower, maybe it'd be higher. So I think, and again, there's no right or wrong here, so we don't need to set and pontificate the issue. We just need to decide, do you wanna pay 6.42 for 39 months, or do you wanna pay 6.251 for 27 months, and the mayor will need to sign that before 2 o'clock today.
what do you think?
I'm still learning what it is. Like I sat down in my head was swimming when we met with him.
I don't think we can,
It's-
you're not gonna leave here and go, boy, I made
No,
a mistake.
it's not something like, you're not gonna get 20-some months down the road. I mean, it's gonna, and actually, nobody would have thought it actually would drop when we re-signed with
Right.
Simek. We wouldn't have thought we'd been signing for less. So, I mean, everything is gonna stay on par or probably go up. I mean, most things don't trend down. So I would say that if we locked it in longer, And you gotta keep in mind, probably within the next 18, 24 months, we're gonna definitely, I don't know, within the next 12 months, we'll have the solar up. So we're gonna see some savings in a short period of time anyway.
We're gonna be
so-
buying a lot less.
Yeah, so I don't think we'll be out of line to go a longer period of time.
And this, and if we go with the longer term, we'll essentially start negotiating the winter of 26 before that new council seat of 27.
We would be allowed to do it really, I mean, they could come to us a year from now and say, hey, I got new rates.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we can do it, and typically they do it sometime within the last year.
so it's just so you know, so,
Shortly.
so like, these guys initially, they were bombarding me with stuff. Every day I was getting emails, and finally I said, stop emailing me. They continued to email me, and I said, I'm done talking to you.
Yes.
Yes, so I was ready to cut bait. So, but what's interesting is when he sat down with us, he goes, it's probably best that you put us off because the rates actually dropped from my first email to the most current conversation. So they were actually honest with us.
I just wanted to make sure that we
Yeah.
weren't gonna, the next council in 26.
You weren't gonna
we go with
saddle.
the law- We weren't gonna saddle with them
Yeah.
or force them, hey, that previous council has to make a decision right before their seat, because we don't wanna
Yeah,
saddle.
because you can make it at any point, any time.
Okay, I make a motion, we do the 39-month term.
Thank you.
So we're, you'll need to get the ball.
Second.
One less thing we gotta look about.
Let them know.
Exactly.
Sign whatever you sign. Thank you, guys.
And to kind of tie into that, they've talked about some other possibilities where the city might be able to partner with them. More and more smaller organizations that aren't big enough to have their own solar, setups, you can buy into what they call solar farms. And so there's an opportunity for the city potentially to buy into a solar farm for additional savings, but they're also looking at municipalities like ours that have maybe excess property that we're not doing anything with, that we potentially become a solar farm and our rates would go down, but also bring some revenue to the city. So that was what was really interesting coming out of the conversation, like we've got oil well pump
And we may come back
properties.
to you guys a
Yeah.
year from now to ask you.
So we're gonna, so that kind of falls more under new business, but it's the same conversation. So when we sign up with these guys for a longer period of time, that would be some of the thought in mind, is that we'd be able to continue those conversations.
Yes.
Commissioner Garvelia.
Yes.
Commissioner Cochran.
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes. All right, anything under miscellaneous business? Old business?
Real quick, update from earlier in the week, I think you guys have begun interviews for the code enforcement position.
We've done 2 interviews so far, we got another one actually after this council meeting. Unfortunately, I had 2 people scheduled, on Wednesday, and they no call, no show for their interviews.
And today is number 6.
We got a verbal one.
Yeah, that's right, and I had a phone interview with someone, and I actually thought that they were probably the most qualified. Unfortunately, he had just taken a position with Jackson County EMS, and so he declined to have the in-face interview, but at least I got to talk to him. We got one more interview after this meeting, and then perhaps next week, we'll get back together and talk about, what we found, and hopefully we can bring someone to the council for approval.
Do we have a committee for that, or
We do.
At this point, it's the 3 of us.
is it 3? Okay, I'm just curious.
Because the report, and he'll be doing the training, it's under public affairs, and if there's ever a fine or a need to go to court, we included the
The
city.
3 of you are doing there, it's okay.
Under new business, just
Yes.
I'm with the council, kind of have a heads up, and we'll get out of here. You got some new business?
It was brought up to me this morning by the paid on call, a couple of them was at the fire station. How come they didn't get no gifts certificate?
A lot of it
In the
was,
past, we've never done it, but last year, what they done, the fire department agreed to take half and then give them enough to buy a hoodie or something.
so I spoke to Shane about that earlier in the week. He said that he had bought them, I think he bought them hats. He bought them either either beanies or something. He had got them something small, because with our POCs, where do you draw the line? Because we have POCs that are there
Show up.
for every call, and then we have some where we
Right.
cut a check for
I
$6.
understand
So it
that
was
now.
that's why we did it the way we did, because it was just,
I'm
if we could
I'm good.
if we go full-time and then just draw the line from there, it was the easiest line to draw, that way we weren't splitting.
I know in the past, we've never done anything. The fire department got mad last year, and they said, well, what we'll do, give us half and take the other half and give to them. And I think that's what they
And
did.
it's a question every year. For 4 years, we had that question, didn't we?
Yeah,
Every year
we've
we
had
go,
it
where do we draw that line?
We
Right?
have
That was always
had
the
it
cleanest line.
for 7.5 years, about when we bring it up to a vote, we've always had that issue. So I don't know why he bought them or nothing about it, but I just wanted
But
to
if you want a
know.
meetings, I'd like to buy one, I'd like to have one of those.
Right, and I know they had a celebration Wednesday night,
Warren
so
Fire
they
paid for that.
fed them brisket, whole 9 yards, and,
Nice.
They
So
paid
they-
for, that come out of the Foreign Fire.
yeah, so they had that Wednesday night.
Good.
so.
Last thing, only last thing I want the council to know about under new business is, we're working on like activities and events for next year. And it's my hope that kind of starting in like April, all the way through November to December, that we have at least one monthly event that takes place somewhere in and around the square. So in April, it looks like the eclipse is coming together very nicely. We now have a full lineup of music that's gonna start at 1 o'clock and go through Confederate Railroad. And Lenny's coming along with doing a lot of activities there. In May, we got the Red Lake Water Festival, and we can see how the city can partner with that. We are meeting with Char Mumbauer. Next year is the 50th anniversary of Benton Park District, and they're trying to do 50 events in a year. And they came up with the idea of doing a amateur barbecue competition. The Park District kind of said, So we're meeting with Char. How could we potentially partner with her, maybe do that on public property, maybe more in the northeast lot, somewhere around there. What would that look like? Then July, I envision we'll have some sort of Christmas in July. It's become a new annual event. In August, I would love to see the block party come back, expanded and built, which was phenomenal.
That's wonderful.
September will be the car show, October will be Fall Fest, November, Hometown Christmas. And so I'm starting to work on a holistic collective calendar for the next year, so.
Do you have a committee put together that?
Well, it's all different people from different places, so we're not that far in.
It'd be good to have a committee where,
Yes,
Real quick, with the amateur barbecue competition, they probably need to reach out to Chuck Cochran. He
okay.
used to be the mayor of West City, because when they had the 4th of July festival, they had the more professional barbecue, but,
Mhm.
I mean, you can use a lot of the same parameters and see what
Yeah,
they
see,
did as far
they've
as.
been talking with Jordan Kirkpatrick.
He's the one that done it out the dam.
Yes, yes,
So
best
that's,
thing barbecue
yeah,
cook-off.
there you go, that's what we need to do. So
Yeah.
today's more just about what's the feasibility.
He would be the one.
And then if we feel like it is,
Yeah.
then we can start bringing in the experts to talk
I
about
bet Chuck still has all of that documentation. And then one thing, I went to the Benton 103 meeting Monday night, just to
Yes.
kind of update them what we've got going on, because we've got a lot of good things going on, community events, we've got infrastructure projects all over the place. And
it,
then
including
we've got-
theirs.
Including theirs, and they'll be part of a very big infrastructure project with the water line replacement on the east side.
Yep.
I did have a board member contact me after the meeting and express interest in potentially putting a crosswalk between the high school and the student parking lot on College Street.
We talked about that, didn't we?
I've talked to them also about sidewalk.
Uh-huh.
I've talked to them numerous times, but we've never met.
Okay.
We are gonna do that, but we
And-
never got together with them. The sidewalk, we said we're not gonna do it this year, we're gonna wait spring because of the salt.
Right.
We got an issue on North Main where we poured it in the fall, the snowplows come along and the sidewalk's ruined.
It's
Right.
just- Yeah.
And so we, Beazer and said, we're not pouring no more sidewalk till, it'll be at least spring before we do it. So I told him that, but also told him we're getting ready to tear up part of East Main. So that in front of the high school gym, and, we're gonna tear up a lot of stuff, so let's, and so I've talked to the superintendent
Okay.
about that at least twice.
Perfect, yeah, and again,
Yeah, but I do appreciate you going and
Yeah.
tell them.
Why
I
don't
mean,
you-
whether you
and
like it or not, we're gonna have a mess down our wall, hopefully come spring, we'll bid it off, and, I mean, right in front of the gym.
Right.
So
How about
hopefully.
that little hydrant? that's
Well,
been
we're
on-
gonna
That's
fix
supposed to
place
get
that, oh
replaced.
my God.
That's part of
oh,
that
yeah.
grant, let's see that
I
grant.
haven't seen the plans yet, but I do know we're right in front of the high school gym.
Right.
That's one's gonna be
That's the
replaced.
one you dispatched about a year ago.
You bet, well, they had a leak down there
had a
yesterday.
small leak on it yesterday.
like-
Yeah, I walked across the high school today, it was like a big mud fest, right at the crosswalk on the
We'll be able to bore most of East Main, we will have to tear up that intersection in front of the gym, and we'll have to make connection on College. But the best part of East Main will not be tore up, 'cause we'll
Right.
be able to go around and
We won't have
there'll be a
to,
hole here and a hole there.
we won't have to tear up what was just redone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, no, we're not gonna do that, we're not gonna do that,
Yeah, we hope
but
not.
hopefully we'll
We
do
hope
that
not.
when school's out.
Right.
I mean, we can schedule that in 2 or 3 months school's out, but that's down the road, but I appreciate you talking to them.
quick question, what happened to the tree out by the beetle thing? Why isn't it lit up?
I don't know, honestly. I know at one point they were looking at what it needed to be done, and it needed a whole bunch of new lights.
Okay,
So that is one thing that I want to sit down, because I think you might have some insight for me about project management systems.
Okay.
About how to track and follow, you might have some insight for me.
Yeah.
We've got so many moving parts, we're dropping balls.
but I saw this.
And I'd like to figure out how do
other-
we make sure that on the back end, a reporting system for it, so I'll give you some insight on that.
Yeah, and I saw that the big tree in the
Yeah, it toppled over and it destroyed the bottom layer of it. So it crumpled it up, so we had them take out the bottom layer like a cake and reset it and relight it.
That's what
So,
you did, okay.
yep.
And, update on Malkovich Park?
At this
Because
point,
you met with, everybody met up there, right?
it was more about the sign for, Mr. A, and what to do with it.
Yeah.
And so they decided to not put the permanent sign out until Malkovich Park gets its upgrade. And we
Okay.
won't know that until probably spring when we find out whether or not we got the grant. What Severn is going to do is he's gonna do some sort of metal with vinyl on it that has the same image and same information. So it's temporarily mounted, so we know that it's Mr. A, not Malkovich,
Yeah,
like a personal.
right.
And then
Or
that,
which one it is.
yeah, and then, once that gets done, then we'll actually bring out the new sign and relocate it, so it's more about the sign than anything
Okay,
else,
okay.
yeah, so. Any matters from the public?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
There it is,
Second.
and Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, neighbor.
Just for S and G.
It's back, we'll just wait another week or so. So I'm watching the.
Great job.
Thank you.
Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Busy, busy.
Everybody wants to get everything in at the very end of the year.